Hello and a warm welcome to this global webinar from IBADATKHANA, which is a regular feature. We keep doing it on important issues. And today's issue is something which is very, very sensitive. How some 26 innocent lives were massacred on the Baisaran meadows of Kashmir. And that was an incident which shook not only the entire nation, but across the world. There has been a massive outpouring that how could such innocent lives be massacred in a land where everyone was claiming that normalcy has returned. And this is what the plaguing questions have been. Now, some retaliatory measures have been taken by the government of India. Say, for example, the Indus Water Treaty has been suspended. The Atari border has been closed. There's been a downscaling of the high commissions. But is that enough to bring a closure to the families who've lost their dear ones? And there are some very serious questions. There is no doubt that there was a security lapse. There is no doubt that there was an intelligence failure. And why did the government keep on saying that Kashmir is normal? Joining me now is a very special panel, and I'll introduce you to all of them. Joining me this morning is Justice Markanday Katju, former Supreme Court judge. Thank you, sir, so much for joining. And he's been the mentor behind this IBADATKHANA global webinar. Is an important, so much for joining. We have Yashivardhan Azaad, who's a former IPS officer, but more than that, Special Director of Intelligence Bureau, Secretary to the Security of the Government of India. And he's also been the former Information Commissioner. Thank you so much, Mr. Azad. And it's a pleasure to have you on a panel like this. Thank you so much. We have Muzaffar Shah, who's the Vice President of the Awami National Conference, an important leader from Kashmir. And we also have Jeevan Zutshi, who is the president of the Indian American Community Federation. Thank you so much, Jeevan, and thank you so much, Muzaffar Shah, for joining. And
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And since it's an issue which is related to security, it is an issue which is related to the intelligence. I'll begin today's panel with Mr. Azad. You also wrote a beautiful piece, Mr. Azad, yesterday in New Indian Express. But what are the after the Pehelgam terror incident, and on which the government is quiet, government is not talking too much?
Well, the first thing, as you mentioned, is the intelligence and the security aspect. There's no doubt about it. And questions are bound to be raised after such a serious incident. Well, there were some intelligence inputs which are floating around that there are a few people suspected who are moving around in hotels and checking, lists and things like that. But as we say, it was not a precise input, so it could not be made actionable, what we call an actionable input, because precise timing, precise location exactly, these were not really mentioned. And but the unfortunate part also is that apart from these intelligence inputs, which could not be operated upon, there is also the question of security, because if you're a superintendent of police and you realize that there's a particular place, there are a lot of tourists, and this area is a little ahead of Pehelgam, falling in Anantnag district, around the Lidda River, but the dense forest around, there should have been, from a law and order point of view, some security arrangement. But besides that, yes, of course, we can get into the intelligence failure or security failure, but the terrorist just chooses its place, its time. And time and again, if you see in the 35 years of Jammu and Kashmir history, there are more than 15 years where there have been 1,000 fatalities. So you pump in even more men, you have the best of intelligence, but Pakistan or the perpetrators will do it in intervals. And you have to be just prepared for it in all respects. And the last point is, yes, there were 2 crores of tourists in 2024. Which virtually made Kashmir the heaven. I mean, the Switzerland of India. And you can say there was a bit of complacency. I don't deny that. So these are issues now we'll have to take seriously, apart from the options that we take, what to do with the perpetrators.
Right. But Mr. Azad, another question to you, and then I'll go to Muzaffar Shah, that people are mulling over the fact that what is Prime Minister Modi now going to do? Are we going to see another Balakot, which is Balakot 2.0? Now, is that a solution? Because when Balakot happened, people thought that, it would put an end to the terror activities, but that didn't happen. Now we have another Pehelgam. So is military is a military tactics going to be the real solution to the problem? Because we've suspended all kinds of dialogue with Pakistan. We don't believe in the fact that we need to talk to Pakistan. We say that terror and talks cannot go together. So is military the only solution?
See,
A
I can
military
get into I can get into this right now, but I thought you might be, might like to take the initial round of, opening, remarks
Oh,
by the various here. Then we can go for the options later, because there are a lot of things we can discuss on this
right.
issue.
All right, all right. So let me go to Muzaffar Shah. That Muzaffar, I really want to understand from you, because you are in the heart of Kashmir, what is really happening post Pehelgam, and on the ground, what is the kind of sentiment which is coming up? What are the people saying? Do they believe in the Modi government? What is their reaction towards the center? I would really want to understand from you.
Well, I can only add a few points, right from ground zero, because yesterday I visited the Pehelgam area, and I visited the house of the Adil, who was martyred there, and the boy has 2 more brothers and 3 sisters, and the tragedy is that he did not own the horse. That horse that he was ferrying these tourists around, he had taken it on rent. So that is the condition of the family. So we are the government is also doing its bit, and we have also, as locals here, we are also trying to put in our little bit to see that his family, because he has given the biggest sacrifice with his life, and he has held our heads high, all of us, Kashmir, the entire country, and we do owe these things to this family. So see, coming back to your question, is that we are here feeling as pained, and maybe more pained than the people and our tourist brethren who lost their lives here. And every house in Kashmir is feeling this pain terribly, I can tell you that. And we also, on the other hand, we also are feeling a little, very helpless, that what can be done? We are also asking these questions, that who are these people who have come? Suddenly they have come in from nowhere, and they have come into an area which is pretty well guarded, and though it is very mountainous, as Mr. Azad also pointed it out, it's not very easy to man every point. But yes, there is a very big question that haunts all of us in Kashmir, and I'm sure haunts the entire country, entire world, that this particular area, Baisaran, wherein these tourists were there, at that particular point of time, you had more than, some say 5,000, 6,000, but no, the estimate is that around 1,500 to 2,000 people there.
Yeah.
And wherein you have 1,500 to 2,000 people, I'm sure that the people who run the security grid, fortunately or unfortunately, the local government has no role, absolutely no role, zero role. They are not even consulted. They're not even part of the meetings of the security apparatus, which is a very, very serious lapse in this entire exercise. Kashmir being Kashmir and being so sensitive, and that you have the local governance not even knowing what's happening. So the question that I have raised right from Lal Chowk when I went for the protest march is that, please, somebody has to answer. Don't pinpoint, don't question Kashmir. I am questioning our central leadership that, well, sirs, you are responsible for the situation. You are responsible for the security, great security apparatus. Please, why was there not even a single soul from the authorities, from the police or paramilitary, in a place which had almost 1,500 people on the ground at one point of time? And when the attack took place, for those 10 or 15 minutes, after that, the evacuation and the what heroic deeds the locals as well as the tourists together, they pulled those people down and got them almost to 5 or 6 kilometers down to Pehelgam. Some people on their backs, and those lives were saved. Otherwise, we would have had a mayhem there. They would have had a major massacre, in maybe more than hundreds of people. So, and for that half an hour or 1 hour, nobody had come there. No security was there. No policeman or paramilitary was there. That is what is baffling people like me. We have run governments here. I've seen governments running here. I've seen my grandfather's government running, my father's government running, the other governments running, Farooq Saab's government running. And we did take care of. These were areas where you took extraordinary care. But as Mr. Azad put it very well, the advantage lies with the terrorist at all time. He can strike anywhere, any place without any information. So, but on our side, this was a very huge lapse, and the responsibility, I can say, lies squarely at the doors of the Prime Minister, Honorable Home Minister. They have to answer the country. They have to answer Kashmir. This is what I can say. And as far as Kashmir is concerned, we are feeling terribly dejected. And we want that the idea of India to survive, the best part is that we strike back and return back to Kashmir. It's not the question of tourism. Kashmir has seen tourist blackouts for years together. For the last 40 years, we have suffered all this. We don't care about that, about the economic part of it, about the commercial fallout. No, the fallout is that the country should be back on its toes and come back. That's the way that we can defeat this propaganda. We can defeat this the murder that was inflicted upon our people there. That is how we can defeat that you come back. And as far as the warmongering and that takes place here, we will talk about it once the discussion goes on ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Mr. Azad wanted to make a point. I saw him raising his hand. Yes, Mr. Azad.
I strongly concur with Shah Saab's views, and the way he has said it, he's really described it very well. First of all, there's amazing, this man who died a hero was amazing, and there were many other people who used to carry the tourists. They saved the lives. I saw one of them carrying a child on the shoulders and coming back. Secondly, I very strongly believe that the statehood must be given, because, when you give the authority to the people's representatives, naturally the people will come up they'll feel more ingratiated, and more information, more intelligence, more information will be coming on ground. And certainly today we are looking ahead with somebody like, Abdullah, young Abdullah leading and becoming the chief minister. If you get statehood, it will be a much more organized state, and the entire security grid will also work better, because they will report to the right person. So I strongly agree with this view.
Right. In fact, you mentioned about statehood, and I'll come to Jeevan now, that we all heard Omar Abdullah's speech in the House, in the Legislative Assembly yesterday. It was a very emotional speech he gave. He was almost on the verge of breaking down when he said that I can't do much but to apologize to the people. Now, and of course, the question on statehood, which Mr. Azad mentioned, is the time ripe to demand for a statehood? Because I heard Mr. Omar Abdullah saying that, we will not get into any kind of politics. we will not demand statehood. Apparently, this is not the time to demand, but everybody knows that that is the basic question. Until unless these things are restored, you will not get your political framework back. Obviously, the security of the state will be at stake. And as what Muzaffar pointed out, that there have been meetings where Omar Abdullah has not been included, and the security meetings went underway. Now look at the Cabinet Committee on Security. Now there also, Omar Abdullah wasn't consulted. He was kept out of those meetings. Was it right, really? Jeevan? Yes.
I also heard Omar Abdullah speak about this, and I was very touched, actually. And he also said that मैं इतना बेशर्म इस वक्त नहीं बन सकता हूँ कि ऐसे हालात में I'm going to ask for statehood. But I really have only one comment here, that when we did have statehood, how many murders have taken place in the past? I mean, I'm sure you're aware of all those, killings which took place when we had the statehood. So I don't know what statehood is really going to do at this time. When you have such a huge, I mean, I have no words. I mean, you have Pakistan, and I'm going to repeat myself again. Pakistan is bent upon, creating trouble. They have been doing it since 1947. And, Kashmiris, I truly believe that most of the Kashmiris have no part in it. I mean, everyone wants to be economically sound. They all want to have their own roti, kabda, makan. They all want to, the tourism was at its peak. Everything was going so beautifully. And now suddenly you have this, you have these killings. And I don't know how this is going to really adversely affect the tourism. Right now, it looks like it is, but people have short memories, and it's possible that within 2-3 months, people will forget about it. But the question is that we have to go to the root cause of the problem. And as I have already spoken many times on this forum, IBADATKHANA, I really commend them. It's a wonderful, very sound platform. And we always discuss things in a very, the way they should be. And whatever is in our mind, we can speak it out. So I'm again going to say that the indoctrination, the Pakistan has been bent upon this, this whole thing. And as old as I am, and when I lived in Kashmir, and and since we have been involved since 1990, when you had about 300,000-400,000 Kashmiris, they had to flee overnight. I mean, it's going on. We cannot blame only one thing or the other thing. We have to keep everything in mind. Like, why did all these Kashmiri Hindus, why did they have to flee overnight? Why were they murdered? And then Vandahama killings, and then you had so many other things which have been happening. So whatever happened on 22nd October, it did not just happen like that. I mean, it has been happening. Now the media and the whole bit, every year now we have more access. And
you spoke about media. How do you think media has responded on an issue like this? We've seen Godi media channels saying that, oh, Pakistan, India will make Pakistan so desperate that they will be desperate for a drop of water. Now, everybody knows that all that is symbolic. Suspending the Indus Water Treaty is just a symbolic measure. It's not that Pakistan is going to be thirsting just because of India. But the impression which Godi media gave was as if, it's the end of the world for Pakistan. Is that so?
Well, that's what I also heard, and that's what we, we always kind of think that that that
No, I
that.
being from the media fraternity found this so ludicrous. I mean, how can you put out a story like that?
Well, I think the entire country right now, I haven't seen really, so many people feeling so hurt. I mean, right now, even in our area here, I mean, we have thousands of people. I have never seen that many people going out on the streets. I think people are very hurt. They are very upset, and I strongly believe that there can be nobody else but Pakistan. I mean, only 4 days before this happened, you remember what did that gentleman Munir, what did he say? And what did the Pakistan that, I mean, it was terrible. The statement that he made that, Hindus should be, thrown out and this and that. I mean, that was definitely an indication that something is really happening, something is going to happen. So, leaving the politics part of this whole thing out, I think this was a very, very unfortunate thing that happened. Innocent people, who were just visiting Kashmir, and the way they were murdered, and again using religion as a reason, even though I can definitely tell you that in Kashmir, I was born there, I have lived there, and I know Kashmiris. They don't subscribe to this. I mean, there may be some who have been radicalized, who have been indoctrinated, people who have been, trained in madrasas or whatever, has happened in the past years, after Pakistan lost several wars. They have been trying to take that route, trying to divide in the name of religion. And religion, there cannot be anything stronger than that. When you have to, divide people, I don't think there is anything which can be a stronger emotion than telling people that, hey, this is Hindu, this is Christian, this is that. And that's what they're doing. That's how I get it without.
Yeah. I'll come to Justice Katju now, and I'm sure everybody is waiting to hear from Justice Katju as to what his take on Pehelgam terror attack is, the response of the government, and I'll come to the military tactics and all. I'll speak to Mr. Azad also on that. But Justice Katju, what do you really feel since the time this incident has happened, April 22nd, this tragic incident took place? And there have been many things which have happened in the meanwhile, whether it is the media, whether it is the government's attitude, whether it is the response of the opposition, and of course, geopolitically as well and strategically when it comes to India-Pakistan relations, how has this incident really impacted?
Firstly, of course, I condemn that horrible incident in Pehelgam. There's no doubt about it. It was a very heinous crime. But the question is, who committed it? Those people who killed those 26 Hindu tourists, they disappeared into the jungle. They are not traceable. You will never be able to trace them. You don't have the capacity to trace them. They have disappeared. But you are shouting from the rooftop, Pakistan is here, Pakistan, without an iota of evidence that Pakistan has done it. I'm now, with due respect to Mr. Jeevan Zutshi, a very good friend of mine. He's also a Kashmiri Pandit like me. He also started shouting, Pakistan is here, Pakistan. Are there any evidence hai? I'll give you two pieces of English literature in this connection. They are very. One is the play of Shakespeare called Julius Caesar. You see, what happened was when after Caesar's assassination, the Romans were very angry at his assassination, and they went out on the streets searching for the assassins. Now, one of the assassins was called Cinna, Cinna. But they caught hold of another man whose name was also Cinna, but he was Cinna the poet. He was not one of the assassins. So he started protesting, look, I'm Cinna the poet, I'm not Cinna the assassin. So the Roman mob said, then hang him for his bad verses. बुरी शायरी लिखता है, टांग दो और उसको मार डाला. तो कहने का मतलब ये कि जो मॉब मेंटालिटी है वो इमोशनल होती है, मारना है किसी को, अब जीवन जुच्ची साहब कह रहे पाकिस्तानी को मारो चाहे कोई एविडेंस ना हो, मारो। अरे भाई कोई एविडेंस, कोई आयोटा ऑफ एविडेंस यानी मॉब मेंटालिटी है कि भाई मारना है हमको, तो अब हु इज द विपिंग बॉय? पाकिस्तान इज द विपिंग बॉय। अच्छा है, पकड़ पीटो। अच्छा, दूसरा जो है वो है लुइस कैरल का एलिस इन वंडरलैंड, आप लोगों ने बचपन में पढ़ा होगा। उसमें एक क्वीन ऑफ हार्ट्स होती है, तो उनके सामने जो आदमी लाया जाता है तो कहती है ऑफ विद हिज हेड, सर काटो उसका। तो लोगों ने कहा सर बिफोर कटिंग ऑफ हिज हेड एटलीस्ट गिव हिम अ हियरिंग, गिव होल्ड अ ट्रायल। शी सेड नहीं, ट्रायल बाद में होगा, हियरिंग बाद में हो, पहले सर काटो। तो आप लोग ये मेंटालिटी है कि पहले इन्हें कोई इन्वेस्टिगेशन ना हो। और पाकिस्तान इन्हें मैंने सारे जो मीडिया चैनल देखे जब से इंसिडेंट हुआ, विद इन अ फ्यू मिनट्स सब चिल्लाने लगे पाकिस्तान ने क्या भाई पाकिस्तान को। अच्छा देखिए ये और कुछ लोग कह रहे हैं, नो आई सॉ ऑन द टीवी चैनल्स सम रिटायर्ड लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल्स, दे केम एंड दे वर हॉक्स, दे सेड पाकिस्तान पे हमला करो, अटैक। देखिए एक चीज समझ लीजिए पहले, three things about war. Firstly, wars are very expensive thing, and both India and Pakistan are very poor countries. एक मिसाइल लाखों रुपए का आता है, आपके पास पैसा है, 10 दिन में आपकी इकोनॉमी का कचूमर निकल जाएगा। 10 दिन लड़ाई, 10 दिन से ज्यादा ना इंडियन आर्मी लड़ सकती है ना पाकिस्तानी आर्मी लड़ सकती है, because all your missiles and all will be spent, then you'll have to go to foreign countries asking for more, and where you have the money for buying more. Secondly, wars have very unpredictable outcomes. शुरू कर देना तो बहुत आसान है, आपने लड़ाई जंग छेड़ दी, how will it end? No one can predict. नेपोलियन और हिटलर दोनों ने रशिया को इन्वेड किया, both invaded Russia, expecting very quick victories. But what happened? You know what happened ultimately? Both destroyed. और तीसरी चीज,
Justice Katju, let me ask you this. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but जब मोदी जी अपने रैली में, बिहार के चुनावी रैली में जब वो कहते हैं कि एक एक को चुन चुन के मारेंगे, तो ऑब्वियसली द टारगेट बिकम्स पाकिस्तान, की पाकिस्तान में लोगों को वो चुन चुन के मारेंगे। अब कल निशिकांत दुबे जो लोकसभा के एमपी है बीजेपी, सॉरी टू मेंशन अबाउट हिम, but and I don't feel like, personally speaking, I don't feel like talking about him, but the point is that he says कि पाकिस्तान को हम इस पृथ्वी से मिटा देंगे 2025 के एंड तक। Now, by the end of 25, this is what he said in an address he made yesterday, that Pakistan will cease to exist on this earth by the end of 2025. Now, what do you say to statements like these? Are they not inciting passions? Are they not provoking people? Are they not making Pakistan, the immediate target then? आप कह रहे हो benefit of doubt देने के लिए, इसलिए मैंने
the question of benefit of, there's no evidence. I'm saying there's no evidence. The question of benefit of doubt comes later when there is some evidence, and it has to be assessed whether the evidence is credible or not credible. But there is no evidence that Pakistan had a hand. So why do you say benefit of doubt? There is no question of benefit. And secondly, देखिए आप पाकिस्तान को मारेंगे, एक चीज समझिए, वैसे ही पाकिस्तान बड़ा गरीब मुल्क है, गरीबों को आप पीटेंगे। अब वो मैंने देखा था कि इतनी वाटर शॉर्टेज है पाकिस्तान में कि सिंधीज और पंजाबीज, उनमें कस के डिस्प्यूट चल रही है। इफ यू गो ऑन गूगल, बड़ी कस के डिस्प्यूट चल रही हैं अबाउट वाटर बिटवीन सिंधीज एंड पाकिस्तानी पंजाबी। तो देयर इज अक्यूट वाटर शॉर्टेज। अब उनका अब और भी पानी बंद कर देंगे तो क्या उसका उनको करबला बनाना है? यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड ऑफ करबला, कि वो जो प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद के जो ग्रैंडसन थे, वो उनके फॉलोअर्स वहां प्यासे उनका बुरा हाल कर दिया, फायदे वाले पाइप ऑफ वाटर। तो क्या यही करना है? भाई कोई ह्यूमैनिटेरियन कंसिडरेशन होने चाहिए। वो भी गरीब लोग हैं, इन्हें बहुत बुरा हाल है पाकिस्तानियों का। 90% पाकिस्तानी are living in horrible conditions.
Justice Katju, I'm worried now that when people see this webinar, and I'm sure it will go on a lot of public platforms, people will label you as someone who's anti-India. कि आप पाकिस्तान की सपोर्ट में इस समय कैसे बोल सकते हैं? This is the kind of immediate reaction which comes in.
ऐसा है I'm surrounded by an ocean of idiots. 90% Indians are idiots and 90% Pakistanis are idiots. I'm living like a man living on an island with an ocean of idiots all around me. So what can I do? तो मगर let me complete what I said. कि एक तो इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने कहा कि हम इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी को सस्पेंड कर दें जो 1960 में बनी। एक तो आप कर नहीं सकते हैं क्योंकि देखिए आपने सस्पेंड कर दिया इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी, जो वेस्टर्न 3 रिवर्स हैं उनका पानी जाता है पाकिस्तान, ईस्टर्न 3 रिवर्स का पानी जाता है इंडिया। अब आप वेस्टर्न, क्या आप पाकिस्तान में इंडस का वाटर जाना बंद कर देंगे? यू आर द अपर राइपेरियन स्टेट, पाकिस्तान इज द लोअर राइपेरियन स्टेट। आपने पानी का फ्लो इनटू पाकिस्तान बंद किया तो वो पानी कहाँ जाएगा? You see, the Indus River will not stop flowing just because you suspend the treaty. वो पानी कहीं तो जाएगा। तो अब वो इंडिया, आप कहते हैं इंडिया में आएगा, तो इंडिया में रखने के लिए देखिए you need many structures, dams, barrages, reservoirs, lakes, and then canals to take the water from those dams and all to irrigation fields and so on. ये है ही नहीं आपके पास, वो बनाने में 10-15 साल लगेगा। तो कहना आसान है कि हम सस्पेंड कर दिए हैं, मगर आप उसको इम्प्लीमेंट ही नहीं कर सकते हैं क्योंकि आपके पास वो स्ट्रक्चर्स नहीं है। और फिर दूसरी चीज जो इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने किया, आई वाज सैड अबाउट इट, कि मेडिकल वीसा बंद कर दिया। अब देखिए, लेट मी टेल यू अबाउट मेडिकल वीसा बिकॉज आई हैव हैंडल्ड सम ऑफ देम। क्या होता है, देखिए, एक तो टूरिस्ट वीसा होता है, सम पाकिस्तानी वांटिंग टू कम टू इंडिया, ठीक है, उनका आप कैंसिल कर दीजिए, दैट्स अ सेपरेट इशू। मगर मेडिकल वीसा मीन्स समबडी हु हैज अ life threatening disease in Pakistan, like he wants a heart transplant, kidney transplant, liver transplant. वहाँ इतने बहुत कम हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, there are a few but very few. वहाँ के पाकिस्तान के हॉस्पिटल can treat ordinary diseases but not these life threatening.
Justice Katju, I mean, this conversation will become never ending, and sorry to interrupt you, but what do you feel that we should hand over the evidence first and then start blaming Pakistan?
Of course, you have to have an investigation before holding somebody to be the culprit. कोई proper investigation, scientific investigation होना चाहिए। थोड़ी कि चिल्ला रहे हैं from the rooftop, पाकिस्तान ने किया, पाकिस्तान में किया, मारो, हमला करो, लड़ाई करो, और क्या क्या, all kinds of things are being said on the media. The media has gone mad. माफ करिए, नीलू व्यास is not gone mad. नीलू व्यास is always a very cool person, but most of your colleagues पागल हो गए हैं, चिल्ला रहे हैं पाकिस्तान मारे। भाई कोई एविडेंस तो दो ना। देखिए, I want both India and Pakistan to prosper. It is not that I am anti-Indian. I want Indians to prosper and Pakistan. I want everybody to prosper. मगर आप जब blame डालेंगे तो भाई कोई proof तो होना चाहिए। Otherwise you are behaving like the Queen of Hearts. Off with his head, sir. बिना सुनवाई के मौका दिया, आपने शुरू कर दिया हल्ला मचाना सारा मीडिया। तो देखिए, ये I was not happy in the way our government as well as our people and particularly media is to blame largely. हमारी मीडिया तो बिल्कुल they've gone mad, nuts, and they deliberately bring hawks as their panelists. Hawks आए in the Lieutenant General, Major General, और आके चिल्लाने लगते हैं कि हमला करो, मारो।
No, but Mrs. Katju, you made an important point, and on this particular point which you raised, that we do not have the evidence, but fingers are being pointed at Pakistan. I'll come to Mr. Azaad on this, and I'm sure he'll have lots to elaborate. That what was the right step according to you? You handled security very closely. Should we have presented the evidence and then start blaming, or is it comes naturally that, okay, if a terror activity has happened, it is Pakistan which is to be blamed and no other country?
I'll answer you. Let me just.
I was getting in Mr. Azaad on this, and then I'll come back to you, Justice Katju. Yes, Mr. Azaad. Yes.
Well, you see, we've had some credible evidence. These are electronic evidence and otherwise, that it is an indicator. It's a pointer towards Pakistan, because out of the 5 or 6 we have, there are 2 of them which are Pakistanis, and the rest are the Indians, because there has to be a local support. But yes, to that extent, I definitely agree with Justice Katju, and that's exactly what I've written in my article too, that first you should pause, think, reflect, and then take action. The question is that NIA has already moved into the area for investigations. Number 2, the entire security grid is there trying to trap them. If we trap them and if we get them, you get solid evidence from their boots, from their ammunition, if they are carrying the M4 carbines, if there is so much of evidence you get from there. And then you can, and that's exactly what I said, once NIA establishes the evidence, then you circulate it in all the world capitals, prove it, that this complicity, the Pak complicity is there. But you need not share it with Pakistan at all, because in 2611, we shared everything. The NIA dossiers went all over the world. And in fact, even Headley confirmed that there were 5 of these ISI handlers over there. And the entire crop here, which was killed, they had clear Pakistani evidence written on their dead bodies that they were there. So first when you establish, the second thing is the ceasefire agreement. If you look at the ceasefire agreement from 2021, it has only benefited Pakistan because it has diverted 70 to 80,000 of its troops on the Afghan border after the expulsion of about 1 lakh of Afghans. And it's with the Tehrik-e-Taliban, which is attacking these army targets. Then you see Pakistan army is there to contain the dissent in Gilgit and Baltistan. They are used to protect the CPEC interest of the Chinese, because the Chinese have complained that our engineers are going to be killed. And lastly, a part is diverted to Balochistan, where it is in a murderous kind of a savagery which is being committed against the Balochis over there. So what I'm saying is that this ceasefire has helped them and has helped ISI to double down on their covert activities in Kashmir. So with this, what is the benefit? And there are violations which have taken place. So considering at this particular time, you should see, number one, abrogate this ceasefire. Number two, all their social handles and all, which we are doing correctly, should be completely blocked, because it's, is just venom. And second, we should go on in intelligence overdrive in taking out all their sleeper cells over here and give a massive thrust to your covert operations. But a hit is, we don't want war. Don't listen to generals calling for war. That is not correct. I'm only talking about, if the let year comes out, think of precise, well-timed, proportionate strike to take out those targets. That should be our.
But when you say, Mr. Azad, when you say that it should be well-timed, now well-timed, if the government has to decide on that appropriate time, it could be well before Bihar elections, because I'm sure they would want to get a political mileage out of it, like what was done. So should we preempt on that? Should we not comment on that as well?
Well, see, every government has a bit of politics in mind and let's not blame this government for it. Every government would like the benefit and advantage to come with it. I'm saying it well-timed because today is a unique situation where from Putin to Trump to Macron, everyone is supporting you, except perhaps for Azerbaijan, Turkey, China, a few other countries. Everyone is backing you because nobody wants this kind of an attack again and again and again. This is happening all over, and the United Nations and all that are completely infructuous. I mean, there's no value. If you take out the high value targets after establishing, yes, that this is their culpability and we are going to do this, then fine. How long can you be under the nuclear blackmail all the time? So it's a question of that. And I don't think it will lead to a very, very wide conflagration. This is how we should. But before that, internally also, you see, why statehood point I'm saying I agree with Mr. Zutshi when he says it has not made a difference. Yes, true. In fact, in the 35 years history, irrespective of the regimes, terrorist incidents have taken place. They have come down after 2009, but it was during Mr. Manmohan Singh's period also. The spikes were already there. What I'm saying is Kashmir is not a problem you can solve. You can't solve it. You can manage it. You can certainly manage it. Kashmir, and I agree again with Mr. Zutshi, once you bring in prosperity, so how do you bring in prosperity? How do you bring in this? It has to be a people's government. And I'm telling you, the security grid will work as good. We have the finest Director General of Police there, one of the bravest men. I remember because I was part of the operation to pull him out of Hyderabad because he was under the serious threat by the Naxalites. So everything is good. And with Omar Abdullah, we have a great hope there because here is a man who's fresh, who's talking good things, who's liked by the people. So this is a time to do this, both internally and externally.
All right. So I'll come to the final solution we are seeing right now. Muzaffar, I'll come to you. What do you think should be the response of the government? There are many things which are being demanded now. This morning, I was looking at the Congress WhatsApp groups where Mallikarjun Kharge, and it is out in the public domain that Mallikarjun Kharge has asked the Senate to hold a special session of Parliament to discuss this. They said that we will be in solidarity with the government. What do you think should be the response of the government, other than what they are saying and other than what we are hearing in the election rallies from statements like Nishikant Dubey, who come across as very irresponsible statements? What do you think should be the government response?
Well, I have a few points to make. I'll sum it up in a very short time. After our speakers have spoken just now. And coming straight to your question, the session of Parliament being called, very good. What I proposed we had an all-party meet here in Srinagar, which was called by the Chief Minister. And I had suggested, and I again reiterate that through this platform, it is very important for the Prime Minister to come into Kashmir and hold a dialogue with the stakeholders, which means the civil society, the political people, all the religious heads and all. That gives a very big signal to the common man on the ground that I am a part and parcel of this entire exercise. After that, whatever decision you take at your level, well, you have a huge support of the local population, that is Kashmir. That is one thing which I am suggesting, and I will keep on suggesting publicly also, that it is time to engage with the people, because we don't have engagement at the governmental level on the security related aspect. Finally, it is here, Kashmir. This is the issue. This is the problem. You have to come and speak to the people. We need to talk to you. We have some issues. Now, a few things that were spoken by our by this excellent panel that you have put forth. Number one, very important to hear from ground zero. That is that you see this when you talk about these killings, like this killing has taken place. And I'd like to take the airs of Azaad Saab also on this. Is right from Pulwama down to the local killings that took place here. Whether it was our Kashmiri Pandit brother in Bindru, the famous medicine man here. We used to call him the medicine man. Our family, entire medicines came from Mr. Bindru because of his reputation and his everything. Then we had a killing of one of our Sikh sister. Then we had a killing in the bank. These guys killed the bank manager there. Then two of our police, ex-policemen of SSP ranks.
Yeah.
One was shot who was going for his prayers when he used to be the guy giving the azan there, the muezzin. Now, and after that, you have this particular killing. Now, right from Pulwama down to this Pehelgam incident, these unidentified killers, none of them have been caught till date. And all this has happened when the law and order, the security grid is not in the control of the local government, because we have had president's rule and the governor's rule for donkey's years now. It's just these last 4 or 5 months from 2018. So Well, what do we do? That's one. Now, second is that now we are taking very serious actions. Just yesterday and day before yesterday, 5 homes were blown up with IEDs. And these are the homes of the terrorists who have left their homes 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. They're not here. They're not touching it. And whether they are alive, whether they are here, whether they are across the border, no one knows. Now you go and you blast with dynamite that person's home, forgetting that this home does not belong to him only. It belongs to his father, his mother, basically to his father and mother. It belongs to his sister. It belongs to his brother. It belongs to the children that live there. Now, how say my brother is a terrorist and he's run away from the house? You blow my home up. Supreme Court has not. They have given a direction just a few weeks ago that you can't even use a bulldozer till the guy is not convicted. And now, this collateral damage that has taken place in these areas, these 5 homes, it has destroyed to a large extent the homes that are surrounding this home that has been destroyed. And has been destroyed. They had a marriage ceremony of the daughter or son. that was a nearby home of that. Now, Kashmir has taken it very seriously and very ill that you don't do this. Then you are giving the chance to these boys, whosoever is sitting on the fence, he will say, well, I have no other option but to go back to the gun. That will be a terrible disaster for our country, for Kashmir, for everybody. This is one thing I wanted to pinpoint, and I have spoken yesterday openly about. And those interviews of mine are going viral all over. You cannot do this. This has to be stopped.
Yeah, true. Okay,
this is not
so,
done. That now,
yeah.
another thing is very important is that also, after that I'll keep quiet on this, is that you have to see what role a common Kashmiri did on that particular day. One guy got shot. He saved the tourists. The second guy took 11 tourists belonging to Chhattisgarh all the way down to Pehelgam, all the way down to the airport, and saw them off. The third person brought people on his back. But we forget that there were doctors in GMC Anantnag, both male and female doctors. They worked their tails off and they saved tens of lives. And the best part is there were lines of people who had voluntarily come out to give blood. Now, this is what I am doing here. And what is happening in the states across is that Kashmiri students are being ruthlessly beaten.
Right. No, that indeed
That's
has
one
been...
part.
Right.
Now, second part, the businesses are being targeted. So we want that the Prime Minister, the Home Minister should come out and put an end to it. They can put an end to it by speaking publicly that anybody doing this to our children, because they are their children. Like my tourists are they're like our own family. We have proved it beyond doubt. Nothing can bring harm to them excepting these kinds of carnages that take place, which a common Kashmiri has nothing to do with. So You have to protect these people. And why they cannot be protected? Why the Home Minister cannot protect them? Why the Chief Minister cannot ensure that such things don't happen?
According to you,
This is something which has to be taken care of.
Muzaffar, I'm just coming to my final remarks. So according to you, where does the buck stop? The buck stops with the Prime Minister, or the buck stops with Amit Shah, who's the Home Minister?
It stops with the Prime Minister.
It stops with the
And
Prime
then
Minister.
it comes down to the Home Minister because he is in charge of Jammu and Kashmir since 2018.
Right. All
Any
right.
killings that have taken place here, and
Right.
those killers are not identified, well, that is the failure of the system.
Right. Okay.
I'm
Now
sorry, I'm putting it very bluntly.
Yes. No. It's always good to be blunt and speak the truth. But I'll come for the concluding remarks now to Jeevan, and then I'll come to Justice Katju very briefly because we've gone on for very long. Jeevan, what would you really say towards the end on this Pehelgam massacre and the entire approach which the government has taken to deal with an incident like this?
You know, I honestly haven't still come out of the shock. It is extremely heartbreaking. And honestly, I haven't been even able to eat properly since this happened, because I'm always thinking about that young woman who was only married for 6 days and how her husband was killed right in front of her.
Terrible. Terrible.
And, you know, the most terrible thing, and again, I applaud those people like Muzaffar Shah Sahib said, who took so much care of these tourists, you know, some taking them on their back, some, you know, doing this, some doing that. And that is what a Kashmiri is like. That's what the Kashmiri spirit. Again, it's unfortunate. And I wish that, you know, there's an end to this nonsense. I mean, this is sickening. This is sickening, and I pray that that soon there's an end to this whole thing.
All right, Justice Katju, over to you, and then we'll wrap up this webinar, which a lot of people are watching. Yes, Justice Katju.
See, when the Pulwama attack took place in 2019, in which many of our troops were killed, there was a huge anger in India against Pakistan, because Pakistan was blamed at that time also. And at that time, the then Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, gave a speech with which I was very impressed. It was very rational, very balanced, very logical. He said in his speech that we can understand the people, arms, without legs, without eyes, victims of terrorism. So he said, let the Indian government set up any kind of investigation. Any kind of investigation, we will cooperate with that. Indians should decide. The Indian government should decide what kind of investigation they want. Whatever they want, we will cooperate with it. Now, this was, I think, a very statesman-like statement of Imran Khan. And I, at that time, very much, I wrote an article appreciating it, and I gave an interview to the eminent journalist Ahmed Mir, that this was a very statesman-like speech of Imran Khan, that we understand your pain and we will cooperate. Whatever investigation Indian government sets up, we are willing to cooperate with that. Now that is, I think, the thing should be done in this situation also. That the Pakistan government should tell the Indian government, you please set up an investigation and we are willing to cooperate with you. This, I think, is the best step to cool down the situation. Thank you.
Okay, so all eyes would be now on what the government does. And for now, Mallikarjun Kharge, who's a Congress president, he has asked for a special session of parliament. And let's see what happens if the government gets ready for a session like this. But for now, how will these families get a closure? How justice will be done? how Kashmir will again return to normalcy. These are the biggest questions. And will there be some accountability for the security lapses, for the failure of the intelligence which happened because of this 22nd April Pehelgam terror incident? I'd like to end it here. Thank you so much, Justice Katju, Mr. Yashivardhan Azaad, Jeevan Zutshi, Mr. Muzaffar. It was wonderful listening to all of you. Thank you so much.